This episode of the Central Valley Music Educators Podcast is sponsored by J.H. Tackett Marketing in Hanford. They offer worldwide printing at your fingertips. Find out more at jhtacketmarketing.com.
Welcome to the Central Valley Music Educators Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Bentley. On this week's show, we're talking mariachi programs. You can follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, YouTube, or wherever you download your favorite shows. You can also listen on our website at cvmepodcast.com. I'd like to welcome to the show Anthony Dahl from the Manteca Unified School District, and from the Fresno Unified School District, we have Pamela, Galicia, and Craig Erker. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
I feel really good being here. I'm anxious to talk.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having us.
You know, over the years, instruction in mariachi music has really taken off, and I see more districts seem to be adding this exciting genre of music education to reach even more students. I've invited you all on the show to hear about your programs and hopefully give our listeners some great ideas on how to start a program at their school. Let's start with you, Craig. Can you tell us a little bit about your mariachi program in your school district?
For a long time, I felt like I was the only one doing mariachi. And the reason I started one was like we were talking, Anthony mentioned earlier when we were just visiting, that I wanted to reach out to the rest of the student body. We were playing everything from Twinkle, Twinkle and Mary's Little Lamb, and there was nothing that was from the neighborhood. Plus, all the kids were standing around doing nothing in the after-school programs. So it started up. It was fun. I had kids coming in, but there was a part of this that I wasn't ready for, and I was so pleased to see the first concert, the community, the parents, the way they were yelling, gritos coming out. They were so excited to hear this mariachi music in its first year. And then it just kept growing and growing. So hopefully this podcast and more exposure is going to get some music teachers, try something new. And the community is going to be behind you 100%. So we're having a ball doing it. And elementary is what I'm doing now, but I've done the elementary and middle schools. And I'm having fun.
Now, Pamela, you teach at the high school level. Can you tell us a little bit about your program at the high school level?
Sure. Well, it is actually a class. It didn't start out that way. The first year that we did it, it started off kind of like a club, and it was after school, and then for the first year, and then the next year it went before school, so it went into zero period. And then the school saw that there was an interest, and so it became a period within the day. And it is an A through G class, which means that you get credit and has certain requirements that need to be met.
Yeah, to be able to get that credit, I'm sure, is a really big bonus benefit to the program. Anthony, you come at this program with a little bit different set of glasses. You come as the VAPA coordinator for the Manteca School District. Can you tell us a little bit about the mariachi program there in Manteca?
Yeah, sure. So we, for a while, had one single mariachi club at one of our high schools. And 2 years ago, we had some, I don't want to say extra money, but there was some funding that wasn't being used in our innovations and improvement department. So I asked if we could buy some instruments and get some training for our teachers to expand from that one little club to a few more schools. And we ended up the first year expanding it to 4 elementary schools. I should say we have K-8 schools in our district. So 4 K-8 schools, plus that one high school, where they were meeting after school. We got them instruments, we got them training. The teachers got timesheeted for that time. And we attracted over 200 students from that program in the first year. And over half of them were not involved in band and choir. So it was bringing in all new students, which was the exact point. And this year we've been able to keep it going. We're funding it through the ELOP program. from the state, and we have 3 high schools now doing it and 3 elementary schools. One of our elementary schools fell off because the teacher left for a different district, but still over 200 kids participating, and we're looking next year at the high school level. We're going to move it into the school day, and we just got it A through G approved as well. So excited to keep growing.
That's outstanding. So, Craig, at the elementary and middle school level, what kind of resources are available to mariachi educators, and where do you find them?
Well, first of all, right off the bat, any teacher who has never done mariachi teaching before, you need to go to the workshop in Las Vegas. You have to go do this at the beginning, entry level or intermediate level. They have help. There's teachers there. It's for 5 days, and it's all day long. You learn all the different instruments. But the sweet part is you come home with this 2-inch binder full of tunes and exercises. You have phone numbers to everybody who was at the conference, and you've got phone numbers. You can just call any of the instructors anytime. And I have music sent to me from those instructors as I'm looking for this kind of a piece. Do you have that? And it instantly comes free of charge. It's stuff that they have within their own, libraries and things. The conference in Las Vegas, it's back in Vegas. It was at the NAMM show last year, but it had been in Vegas for many years. But it's the National Mariachi Workshop. And the dates for that is June 26th to June 30th this year. And it's being held at the Las Vegas Academy of the Arts. That's where I would tell everyone to start. And from there, you get the materials, and you kind of you're grounded. If you have experience with these instruments and this music, you could still go there. I came home with, I want to say 20 tunes the very first year I went. Plus these books, these side books, the Supplemente is an instructional standards-based method book that I can use not only with just the string program, violins, violas, cellos. Cellos end up being the guitarron parts. And this book, you can play right along with the clarinets, the trumpet is playing right with the strings. So everybody's in or concert C. The trumpets are having to learn 4 sharps right at the beginning. But if they haven't played before, what's the difference between F and F sharp? What's G? Hey, you're going to play G sharp. And that's been fun. That's been interesting. So those are the 2 main books I use. Mariachi Mastery is another great book because they give you exercises that build you up to the tune. It's well done, well written, and I'd love to share that book with anybody.
Yeah, those sounds. I've heard of that conference in Las Vegas. I know the director in Hanford has gone to that before, and they always rave about just how much they learn about that. Pamela, I'm curious, at the high school level, do you find yourself purchasing music, or do you have transcriptions? What's the best way to get music at the high school level?
I've had a plethora of basically both. I've transcribed plenty of tunes on my own, since I do play frequently every week, and also I have been gifted, like with the summer art program through Vandercook. That's with at the Las Vegas, the Summer Mariachi Workshop for educators. I've received music through there. I've just talking with the different instructors there. We've traded pieces back and forth, but I've transcribed a lot. So if anyone needs music, contact me.
Yeah, we're actually going to put all of your email links in the show notes because obviously the 3 of you are going to be a great resource for a lot of educators. Anthony, speaking from the Manteca area, I know schedules are going to vary from school to school. You can't really just put a, one size fits all. But generally, how often do your beginners meet, and how does that progress through the upper grades, and how much they're able to meet?
So our programs right now are all running through the ELOP, the Extended Learning Opportunity Program, which is after-school funding from the state. So it varies. Basically, each teacher decides how much they want to commit to after-school rehearsals. Most of our folks are doing 2 days a week. And usually what they do is they have the armonia, the harmony instruments one day, and then they have the melody instruments the other day. So you've got trumpets and violins together, and then the guitars and the guitarrones and the vihuelas together. Some folks break it up more than that. If, I don't know if they want to stay 3 or 4 days a week, and they'll have each instrument have its own individual thing. But generally that's the way that they've been doing it at the K-8 level here in Manteca. Our high school level, our East Union mariachi that just played at the state conference, they rehearse 3 days a week before school because high schools start late now. And that is actually, the kids want to do that. They were originally doing 1 or 2 rehearsals a week, and the kids said, we want to do 3. They said they wanted to do 5, but then they started not showing up so much. So 3 seems to be the sweet spot for them. And our other high schools, I think, are doing 2 days a week. I'm not positive on that. But, because it's after school, that every day doesn't make sense. People get burned out. But a couple days a week is working really well for us right now.
And Craig, how does the schedule in Fresno Unified look?
Well, at my school, I have I'm at one elementary, and I have a beginning and advanced guitar class, 8 in one, and it's like 11 kids in the other, and they just learn all the different strumming styles. They learn the 3 or 4 chords that we're doing almost the whole year. You're surprised at how many songs you can get out of a D and an A7, just all kinds of stuff. But then you're changing all the patterns. My trumpet kids, they come as an after school. They're outside now. They're the ones throwing the ball at the wall. And I'll just run through the parts with them. So all the sharps and things that they have to deal with. My violins, I teach them the melodies to our mariachi along with whatever they're doing for the concerts on their own, for the orchestra things that they do. So everything comes together about a month before the concert. So they're sectionals most of the year. When they leave me, the idea for Pamela and I both, our elementaries feed into one of our middle schools, and there used to be a mariachi there for 3 years that's not there anymore. So frustrations we have as we get these kids going in elementary, the programs grow, and then there's nowhere for them to continue. So there's a 2-year vacancy here, absent from it. And then they show up, the PAM, at Roosevelt. They've had 2 years of vacation away from the instrument. So it'd sure be nice to see some other elementaries out there doing this. I think there's a lot of fear. You alluded to the question to Pam about where do you get your music. A lot of people believe it's rote, that the mariachis, they teach each other, here, do this, do that. And there's written material out there. I think CMEA might have had a website, part of the whole state. You can go on there and there's mariachi instruction or something. I remember finding tunes right there. Most of my stuff has been materials that Pamela sent me or I got from the workshop. I've purchased very little. There isn't as much to purchase because there's so much that everybody shares.
That's got to be a great sense of community when you have so many people that are willing to share so much. That's great. Anthony, I'm curious, because of the status of the program in your district and some of the funds that'll be coming in from Prop 28, are you looking at hiring additional staff or expanding even more?
That's our hope. We're still, as everyone on this call and probably everyone on the podcast knows, the state is being very slow giving guidance on Prop 28. So we've gotten no hard promises from the district yet about what we're doing with that money. But the hope is that mariachi is going to be one of many things that we expand in our district. And I know when we put it into the day in the high schools next year, one of our existing teachers wants to teach that, but the other teachers are willing to, but don't really have as much experience. So if we can swing hiring somebody to do that, that would be great for everyone involved. So we're hoping, but no hard answers yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing statewide. I know with my district, the same thing. Let's get some more guidance here before we commit to new programs and new expenditures and such. Pamela, you had mentioned in our conversation that being a high school level group, that you often get asked to perform outside of the school arena. And I know you have to balance the student before the student musician necessarily. So what are the demands that you have of people, asking you to perform and, performing outside of the school day?
Well, we want to be very careful. I always try and vet and look for the students' interests and what's going to benefit not only the program, but our community. We want to also give to our community and provide for the community and show what the community can produce. But we also want to still have the students in mind, especially when they're also part of different activities at the high school level. I know everyone in all levels have to deal or have, there's sports and there's also balancing their academics. But we try to take all of that in consideration when we're getting the students to perform.
So I want to thank all of you for coming on the show today, and I really appreciate your time and willingness to share information about mariachi programs with other educators in the Valley. Craig, what has mariachi instruction been for you?
For years, we taught from the method books, band and strings, and we would do our jazz bands, we'd do marching band, concert, all those things we always did as directors and music educators. When mariachi came into my life as a music educator, it lifted me. It made me a better teacher, not only for that genre and how to enjoy that music, but how it made the rest of the community support the music program. And I just enjoyed coming to school and wanted to see that grow and grow and grow. I didn't neglect the rest of my marching band or jazz band things. Mariachi music is out there in the community. Why aren't we providing instruction for it in our district? Pam and I are it. Unless there's somebody else I don't know about. But we have, what's the third, fourth largest district? And we're both here, the two teachers that see the value of this.
For me, realizing that the traditional band, choir, and orchestra serves a small segment of the population really well, and I'm in that small segment, so it took a while into my life to look outside of that and realize that while it's serving 10 and 20% of the population is awesome, what about the other 80%? We need to provide something for them. And in my district in particular, we have over 60% of our population identifies as Hispanic. Having something that is culturally relevant to Hispanic people makes a lot of sense. When I was lucky enough to go to the Midwest Conference this year, and I saw a middle school mariachi from Las Vegas play, and they were from Fremont Middle School in Las Vegas. They were phenomenal. But their director said that she was talking about why mariachi is important, and she said it has all the benefits of music education that all you band and orchestra people know about, but it's also a vehicle that connects to culture. And that's, we talk about SEL and stuff all the time in school. That's it. Connecting to culture, bringing what they're hearing and learning at home into the classroom. That's what we're doing for kids that may not have seen themselves in our traditional band, choir, orchestra. And we can do that while keeping our band, choir, and orchestra strong. It doesn't have to be an either or, it's like yes and.
Mariachi has opened up a lifeline to a lot of the population of our students who may not identify with other genres of music. It's cross-generational. It gets the students to connect with their grandparents, with their aunts, with their uncles. And it's not just for the Hispanic community. A lot of the mariachi music is influenced by European instruments, European rhythms, Afro-Cuban rhythms. It's inclusive. It's inclusive with cross generations, basically across the world. It invites community into the school, and vice versa. It invites school into their homes, and I think it's a lifeline for especially our Fresno Unified School District, where vast majority of the students have a heritage, Hispanic heritage, or it's just for everyone.
Well, I'd like to thank all of you for coming on the show again. It's been a real eye-opening experience for me, and I know a lot of our listeners. And for our listeners, I'll put all of their information in the show notes of the website so that you can click on the links. You can email them because they are more than willing to share with you their resources and tips for growing your program. So thanks again, everybody.
Rob, thank you very much. I hope this wakes everybody up. It's time to teach some mariachi.
Thank you so much for inviting us to talk about mariachi and how we can expand it within our school system.
I really appreciate being invited to come speak about this. And if anyone needs any help, especially with the logistical side of it, because that's more my expertise, feel free to reach out.
I'd like to thank J.H. Tackett Marketing in Hanford for sponsoring this episode of the Central Valley Music Educators Podcast. If you're interested in sponsoring a future episode of the show, or you have a show topic that you'd be interested in hearing about, please contact me at cvmepodcast@gmail.com. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review, sharing on social media, or telling a friend. For more information about the show, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Central Valley Music Educators Podcast or at CVME Podcast. Make sure you tune in next week for our final episode of Season 3 of the Central Valley Music Educators Podcast. We'll have a chance to sit down with Dr. B, Bethany Hansen, who is a life coach and a former band director, and she'll be sharing some great work-life balance tips for us. Have a great week.